All right. Hello, everyone, and thank you for attending today's webinar. My name is Matthijs Slangen. I'm the VP of Sales and Marketing at Flexport. We have a great webinar today for you. But before we begin, let's go over a few of the housekeeping items here. As we always do, on your screen, you will see a sidebar to the right of the main stage. If at any time you need assistance during the live webinar, please message us in the help chat located on the sidebar. You can also ask questions via the Q&A on the sidebar, time permitting. At the end of the presentation, we will answer a few audience questions. So be sure to get your questions in early. In the menu above your screen, you have two tabs. The first tab, you can download a copy of today's slide deck. And in the second tab, there's a brief feedback survey of this webinar. We obviously love your feedback, so please fill it out before exiting the webinar. Also, a quick legal note. Please keep in mind that all the information provided in this session is based on the situation at the current time and may not be customized to your specific business requirements. And we always recommend reaching out to your Flexport expert to discuss your particular situation. Good. We've done the administrative and the legal parts, and now let's go into the fun part. So I said already, I have a very exciting webinar to share with you today, and I'm very pleased, very happy to have the two speakers next to me who are going to share their insights and their experience with us. With us today are Doug Brown. Doug Brown is our head of Europe within Flexport. So in this position, obviously, he speaks a lot to all of our customers. He listens to what's going on in the market, but last but not least, he also knows exactly how and what we as Flexport are doing from a strategy and a vision perspective. So Doug, thank you for joining us on this webinar, and welcome. Next to that, we have Alex Nederlof, and Alex Nederlof is a Director of Engineering, Customs and Financial Services within Flexport, and I dare to say one of the key pillars behind all of our engineering efforts that we have within our organization. And what we're going to do today is we're going to mix, let's say, the client side, or at least what we see happening in the industry, with the technology part. And that is, I think, a super exciting way of how to look at this topic. Now, let's walk you through the agenda. Firstly, I want to say that AI is the new buzzword, right? So let's face it, we've seen this movie before. Remember when blockchain was going to revolutionize everything from banking to your morning coffee, and suddenly every company was blockchain powered, right? And no one could quite explain actually why. AI feels a little bit like that, right? Only now it's not just a hype. This time the technology is actually already there and already changing the way how we work, how we live, and maybe also how we even think. And it's not going away anytime soon. So we're happy to discuss these topics today with you. We will start with telling you a little bit how we're trying to build the smartest supply chain out there. And then we immediately try to make this super concrete by going into examples, real life examples that we see in the day-to-day world around us. What are the major challenges that we see there, and what kind of solutions can we bring into this one? Now, before we actually kick it off, I would like to show with you a little bit what we've seen happening over the last period of time, right? And on the slide, you can see many of the events that happened in the last 10 years. And I think it's safe to say or to assume that supply chain dynamics, you actually see notable changes or shifts every 2 to 3 years, right? And even more changes or in our market in 5 or 6 years. So during our Flexport existence, which is roughly 12 years, we've seen already 2 major overhauls of how, let's say, supply chain dynamics is actually working and what kind of strategies apply to that. And I'm asked repeatedly also when are we going to catch a break, right? As we stare down the crystal ball with looming port strikes and increased tariffs, etc. The honest answer here is the world is not going to become more simple, right? The only answer here, the only answer for our supply chains is that they need to become stronger there. And we can actually already pencil in the next dots that are going to happen in the upcoming years. So This is not going to change, obviously. So we have to make sure that we make our supply chains stronger from that perspective. And AI tech plays a big role in this. If you look at AI, it's not just a futuristic concept, right? It's a game changer that is really reshaping supply chains worldwide. And at Flexport, we are actually committed to building that supply chain, the smartest supply chain in the world, by integrating cutting edge technology, automation, including AI, and trying to stay ahead of our competition there. Now, as I said, AI is also a little bit of a buzzword. It's used actually everywhere around us right now. Sometimes it's actually gone a little bit from a technical term into more like a marketing badge, right? Often used to attract attention, or funding, or just a hype. And even myself, I often mix up tech, AI, and the different developments that we see there. Um, and in many cases, we're not even talking about AI. We're talking about more like basic if-then automation. Like a little bit of the old school scripting. And if we talk about predictive analytics, we often just should refer to regression models or statistical models. Um, a much better person to talk about this is Alex. So Alex, and you often, like teach me on what AI is and what's not. So can you maybe share that with the rest of the audience as well?
Yeah, so I think an easy way to think about it is that the up until like a year ago, most things we saw are traditional tech. There was some AI sprinkled left and right. Uh, Today we would even call that traditional, like machine learning kind of AI for maybe little route optimization, basic document scanning, not strong enough for any kind of trade document scanning, really. So most of what you know and see, integrated systems, APIs, there behind any kind of platform feature, ran mostly on regular computer programming, regular programs. Last year, basically ever since we saw GPT-4 and the hype started, companies are adopting these large language models, these foundational models into their products. And they really excel in three areas. So they can deal with unstructured data very well, unstructured being unstructured to a computer. So this might be a PDF file. It might be emails that they classify on urgency, or what kind of topic they are about. They're really good at semantic interpretation, which is important to us. So, for example, jeans can also be called demons or trousers or pants or chinos. And for an AI, it's not a problem to know that this is all about the same thing. And in traditional programming, that would be very hard to catch all. And finally, it's really good at writing as well, as I'm sure you've tried yourself to like reformat an email to be more businesslike or to be more informal. AIs really excel at writing, but also at writing code and at writing code to talk to databases, as we'll see later. So those are really the three areas where it's excelling, and you can see it slowly be adopted into products everywhere today.
Right. Okay. Would you agree that it's safe to say that the term AI is actually abused quite often as well?
Yeah, yeah, it is used for everything now. Most of the time, it's smoke and mirrors, or it's actually a regular script. Um, but you can easily see if it's AI, if it's dealing with basically ambiguous data or it needs to be trained on something.
Got it. Okay. All right. So, Doug, over to you. Many companies actually claim they're using AI, as we also just concluded there. What makes Flexport approach different on that one?
Yeah, I mean, for sure, there are many companies that are beginning to use some of the AI and the open source technologies that I think Alex just talked about. Yeah, and some will always be faster to adopt than others. But I think, kind of like you, Matthias, to what I've been taught or discovered recently from people like Alex, very different background to Alex, different, not worse. But we we're really learning that to apply AI very quickly onto like the existing data sets, data structures, is actually not so easy. And I think the one thing I've learned through these discussions is, yeah, the foundation of our AI within the supply chain, it really has to be built on this unified, clean data set. And I think while many companies are aware of this, right, and they're trying to build data lakes or working with consultants to try and fix this, because it's not so easy, especially if you've been around for a long time. This is required first if you're going to apply it quickly, like I'm happy to see we are. And I think the reason for that is quite simple. So if you ask why is it different, the unique advantage, I would say, or like innate advantage that Flexport possesses is quite simply, we've had a data first approach from the beginning, right? We're only 12 years old, but for those 12 years, we've been ingesting data, we've been structuring it all the way since our inception and giving that back to clients, which allows us now to take advantage of what real AI and not the type that's this word that's been abused, like you say, is we're able to apply that to this data. So if you look at our approach, there's three steps, right? There's one, building the platform, which we can talk a little bit about. Central platform, we ingest the data, we allow for collaboration both on the vendor side and the client side. Number two, once you have this data in place, we structure it and we make it available in ways that empower our customers. And then I think what we're really talking about today is once you have that foundation, you can begin to apply these new technologies that are becoming more and more democratized and available for all. So I think that differentiates our approach. And I think I would say that we're probably, or we might be the only, if you want to call us a forwarding company, the only forwarding company in the industry with such a structured and comprehensive data system, allowing us to take advantage and apply it more effectively pretty quickly as well.
Right. Okay. So without having that structure, that data first principle in place, it would be more difficult to actually see the benefits of all of the technology developments right now.
Exactly.
Got it. Okay, that's clear. Hey, if you look at the slide that we also have up here, essentially what you're then trying to do is you try to look at three different flows, right? That we try to integrate and to connect and ideally make as autonomous as possible, right? So you have the flow of goods, right? The flow of documents or tasks, if you will, and last but not least, obviously also the flow of money. So I think that's typically what we try to integrate in this one. So I think I really liked your story. The slide itself is, it's like it's a pretty slide, but I do think that everyone has kind of like a slide like this, right? It's I think the difficulty is not in building a pretty slide, but it's more like what's really behind it to actually execute on it in it. I think you explained a little bit already about it, but can you also share a little bit more about the vision that we have there in integrating this within our organization?
Yeah, you're quite right. This is it's a slide that I've seen before. I think looking at some of the audience names, and I'm sure everyone will have probably sat across a desk and seen this slide. I think I'm guilty of presenting it many times over the last 20 years. And this slide is fine, right? It's a very accurate reflection of, if you want to split an end-to-end supply chain transaction, this is a good slide for that. But I think typically what you see a slide like this is about the services that you offer and where you play in the supply chain ecosystem. But I think the difference in the vision of Flexport is what you see on the screen here, where we're constantly trying to imagine this completely connected autonomous supply chain. So one that ultimately will think for itself or think for the customer and adapts, providing solutions with as much automation as possible. Couple of examples for that. I think anyone looking at this slide or anyone in today's audience is you can imagine a choke point, or you don't have to imagine that they're everywhere now. In any aspect of this slide, could be port emissions, could be blank sailings, could be congestion at origin destination, more topically, it could be executive orders and changing tariff landscapes of goods that are to be picked up or in transit. And I think these are all examples of like the geopolitical and the volatile situation that we're all accustomed to. And I think if you talk about what is our vision is simply to use the data set and the platform we've built, and then to utilize this new technology to build an even more data-driven platform that's resilient, adapts faster, and allows our clients to respond to those events much quicker, whether that through be automation or just being empowered faster to react.
Got it. Okay, so if you talk about these events, right, or at least the specific events that might happen, do you have a very simple example, something where but really relates also to the audience?
Yeah, I think a really simple one, easy to understand, also pretty topical. There's a lot of blank sailings in the ocean market now. There's alliance schedules adjusting. For us, when a blank sailing does occur, our AI-powered ocean planning tool instantly identifies the next available sailing. And now, why I like that is, okay, that sounds nice, right? There's a problem, the system fixes it. What I'm actually telling you is this it kind of eradicates a manual task. Is it going to be perfect 100% of the time? No, but you can prompt this, you can learn from history, you can prompt it with rules, and you can apply that rather than say how it was done many years ago. So, and then that allows, whether it's the customer themselves or whether it's our internal operator, to maybe enable that with more information. But that's probably a really good example of one that I like, where you're one, using AI to increase quality, you're acting faster, you're eradicating a manual task. But let's be honest, it's not fully autonomous end to end. There's going to be people that need to act on that.
We saw today even some announcement of more blank sailings to come, because the freight rates specifically are continue on going down. So this is a very very relevant example. Thank you for sharing that. Now maybe another one for you, Doug. So with everything moving super fast, right, in tech, and the developments are keep on, it's very difficult to also keep up with that. How do you deal with this? How does Flexport deal with it? How do you try to stay ahead of the game, so to say, as you mentioned in the beginning as well?
Yeah, exactly. I think that's one of the things we wanted to talk about today. So we can also go to the next slide. I think you said it best, right, Matthias? AI is a buzzword. I think if the three of us get through this webinar without saying if you're not using AI, you're falling behind, then what we should be proud of ourselves. So what we don't want to do is jump on that hype train and talk about a few features and products that use AI. That's easily done. I think what we've done here, and you can see on the screen now, I think with our winter release, is showcasing our technology, not the technology that we've released over the last 6 months, but we've been building for over a decade to benefit our customers. We're going to be doing this twice a year. This is the first time we've done it. And basically, the main reasons for that is we're building a lot of technology. We're iterating very fast. But I think with the explosion of LLMs and open source tech, it's a good time to really share a little bit more about what we've built over the last decade recently and what we're building in the future. So it is a buzzword, but it is fair to say that Flexport has been utilizing machine learning and elements of AI for a very long time already. Alex already touched on some of it. And in this release, we've tried to sort of bucket all of these products into 4 themes. So I'll just try and walk you through them super quickly. Number 1, we want to build the smartest supply chain in the world. Well, we talked about this, one that helps you access real-time data, predict the future, and act on events automatically as much as possible. We have a very cool insights builder, which we're going to showcase a bit later, where you can actually interact, build reports in plain language, which is going to become, well, if it's not already, it will become what people expect. Number 2, key to our Flexport vision since inception, is empower customers to manage their supply chain on demand. This one I like because, to me, it's really about taking the Flexport experience and making that available. Also, even if you don't necessarily move your freight with Flex, this is without doubt 6 years with Flexport, the number one FAQ I get, whether it's an existing customer or a prospect. How this is nice. This is been good. How do I actually get this if I don't move all my freight with Flexport? And we're now in a position with Control Tower, which we'll demo a bit later, to offer that experience. Number 3, transform logistics from a cost center to a growth engine. I mean, we're moving in that direction. I think the industry is moving in that direction. Of course, is in and around 10% of most of our audience's total cost of their goods. But how do we enable clients to enter different markets, retail differently, open up new channels? And the fourth one is looking at our internal tools to deliver the highest quality and lowest value. It's probably my favorite. It's probably the one I like the most. We've built a lot of technology, in fact, our own operating system, that one, help us lower transactional costs, but two, deliver higher quality. We've actually broken down the supply chain into multiple tasks, and now we're looking to utilize this technology to automate as much as possible. So these are the 4 themes. I think ultimately, with all the volatility out there, we're utilizing tech to make our supply chains stronger. But yeah, I'll stop there and hand it over to you, Matthijs.
Yeah, I like how you categorize these around these themes. That's super clear. I would like to also ask the audience about how they're using it. Thank you for sharing how we at Flexport are doing that, Doug. But we have here right now also a little poll on the screen. And I'd ask you to answer the poll right now. So there's a couple of options there. How are you using it right now? What is the biggest impact from AI? Is it on operations, supply chain, finance, marketing and sales, customer service, IT and security, or we're not using it to a large extent yet? Once you've casted your votes, then we can see the results. It's still moving a little bit. I think that right now we see fairly large group not using it right now, 29% or 28%, and marketing and sales and operations and supply chain being the strongest in there. Interestingly, I've asked ChatGPT to answer this question for me as well. What if I do a poll, right? What, based on all the data and insights that you have, where would we end up with? And it was actually 28% operations and supply chain, 24% marketing and sales, 18% customer service. So there, the reality is a little bit different from what we're getting there. However, there's a lot of similarities between what ChatGPT will tell us and what you as an audience are telling here as well. So that's very interesting. Very interesting to see. All right, let's quickly move on because we have a lot to cover here. Now let's go into some real life examples, right? So as said, what we would like to do is we'd like to take a few real life examples and look at how are we actually battling that, and then dive a little bit deeper into the tech elements of that. Okay, first one, very simple. We have a lot of disruptions around us, right? These are inevitable. If you look at the challenges that you see there, which are port congestion, weather issues, geopolitical challenges, we don't have an awful lot of influence on those, right? So we cannot really influence that part of the equation, but we can actually look at how do we respond to that and what are we going to do there. This has been a topic always around, obviously, but we really want to focus now on what are the new tech solutions, what are the new ways of how you could actually look at that. Doug, can you elaborate, or can you pick out the ones that you think are most interesting there?
Yeah, so I think we've highlighted a couple of tech solutions here. I'll give a pretty high level overview of or examples for a couple of these. So one, I think it's pretty common. It's our automated schedule deviation detection, where basically we're flagging something that since our inception have actually ingesting all the documentation and SKU level data, and then attaching that to whatever transport mode you're using. And then AI, well, is allowing us to do more exception management, actually provide alternative suggestions when milestones are flagged. I think that's one that's probably more common. That's the second one you see on the screen there. The one at the top there, we call it our Insights Builder. That's the one I think I just briefly mentioned. So that's a good example of, again, just using AI to give real-time insights. So we talked AI for me, it's predictive, it's real-time insights, and it's automation. Those are probably the three things that you can do with once you have this data. So what does an insights builder give you, which is our version of ChatGPT, which is based on our data structure. It allows you, or let's say a final user, to use natural language to build reports, build dashboards, and ask questions based on whatever is happening in the market today. So I think those are probably that's the one that's obviously getting the most attention from us now. But I think maybe Alex or Matthias, you might want to comment on that as well.
Yeah, I think Alex, I think probably the best thing here is to show what it is and how this works, and give a little bit more color around it, right?
Yeah, let's do it. So this is our Insights Builder, and I think it's one of the most exciting things we've launched in a while. We've been using this internally a lot. You can ask basically our database any kind of question you want and immediately get an answer right here. You can, of course, export it to Excel to either share internally or do further analysis on. And the great thing is you can also ask it follow-up questions, just like in a ChatGPT kind of environment. And this allows you to fine-tune the results. So for example, here we're missing a column. We're asking to add the column, and it instantly does that. Now, it used to be also internally with us that if you wanted any kind of answer like that, you'd have to work with an analyst, and there's a turnaround time, and then maybe you have the answer, if you're lucky, the same day. And now all of these things are instant. And as you can see, it can even create graphs for you. Any of these tables and graphs you can save to your database. We have some predefined, well, it's not predefined, but we've learned it like what great answers are. So you can ask more generic questions here, like what are my freight costs? And just like a great breakdown for you based on how we use it internally. And these you can save to your dashboard so that things that are important to you, the numbers that you care about most, are always at your fingertips. And at the same time, you can dive back into Insights Builder and dig deeper again. So I'm really stoked about this. We've not seen this anywhere else. We're really proud of this. Today, it has shipment data and customs data, and we're going to add a lot more, and we're going to make it even more powerful throughout this year.
So this actually means that you will always have the data analyst, if you will, next to you in the room, whatever decision you're making or whatever operation you're executing on.
Yeah. It's like you have an analyst always at the ready for you to dive deep on a problem.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Do you see any risks?
I mean, there's always a risk of hallucination. It's a hotly debated topic. Obviously, we've done our best to prevent it. We always give a little warning that you sometimes need to check the results. But so far, we've seen a very high accuracy with this tool, and it's only going to get better. We've not had any reports, luckily, so far of hallucinations. And the other risk is you might get bored because you can do your job a lot faster. So you have more time to drink coffee with your colleagues.
Yes, that's a good risk to have, I would say. So yes, so we'll take that happily. All right. Hey, so this is all actually acting as an additional layer of support when challenges arises. So very, very concrete when you're dealing with those bottlenecks that we are seeing happening in our supply chain. So yeah, that was the first example that we wanted to share there. Alex, how does it look like in the future? What are the next steps here?
Yeah, so I think this is if we're going to look back in 5 years, this is the first step into something really big where AI really is going to play a large role. And I don't say that with a high perspective, like this is where you'll actually see it. So obviously this is gonna be expanded to all kinds of data and anything you want to know. And it works hand in hand with AI being really good at document parsing. So anything that comes in from the world, being the news, email, any kind of PDF that's sent to you, whatever it is, in companies that have a data platform like Flexport has, all of that will become available to these kind of analytics platforms. So really, when a crisis happens, you see companies go through these 3 stages. They first need to figure out that something's happening. The AI knows what kind of business you're in. It knows what could be a danger to you. So it is following what's happening in the world, and it can automatically reach out to you. The same happens on your data. So it might not be a problem for the world, but it might be a problem specifically for your supply chain. And it can also warn you of any anomalies. That's just a trigger mechanism, which will be a lot faster, better, and more accurate. Then you need to orient, like, what do I need to do? What is going on? You've seen how Insight Builder could instantly surface data to you. We've been using that internally, for example, with the port strikes to immediately see which shipments are affected. In customs, we're using it every week now to find out which HS codes are affected and how imports are changing and what cost impact that has for our customers, so we can help them instantly. So we just move a lot faster. We also are able to get vendor scorecards because we are continuously monitoring how everything is going. We can do a route explanation. You can consider alternative tools. And as these agents get better and better, we're slowly going to edge into a world where they'll be able to play out scenarios for you. So you can ask way more complicated questions than we can today. Like, what if I would move 80% of my volume over to air from ocean? Or what if I would use 5 warehouses instead of 2? Like, these are too complicated today, but I see a clear path to AI being able to basically brainstorm these kinds of scenarios with you, so you can figure out what your options are. And
Right.
finally, it's learning everything from the world around it as well. This is also something we're heavily investing in. For example, agents that really know everything about US government import regulations, which is too much data for any single human to understand. But for agents, it's relatively easy. So you get these knowledge experts you can also leverage to kind of figure out what's going on. And then you have everything on the table, you can make a decision. Obviously, anything in a digital platform, decisions propagate really fast, changes are immediate. So I think that's really where we're going.
So the famous OODA loop that you have also here without the act on the screen will go now a little bit faster, even in going forward.
Yeah, and it's necessary. I mean, the rate of disruptions is increasing, I think, over time.
Got it. Okay, let's go to the next one. So we now discussed the major bottlenecks, but there's obviously also a lot of challenges when it comes down to let's say process disruptions, right? So we often see customs delays. They stem from incorrect or incomplete documentation, and the impact of that is obviously costly storage fees or other elements within the supply chain, where you see that these process disruptions are leading to additional cost. A very common problem, I would say, in our industry, and I think the tech can also help us there in solving those challenges a little bit better. Doug, can you elaborate a bit on this?
Yeah, sure. I think Alex already touched on some of it, but I think again, most people on this, most of our audience will have suffered, hopefully not too many, but customs delays or invoicing errors, and so much of this is prone to manual mistakes. So I think while I've been using machine learning for a long time, this again, the technology available to enhance the AI powered document parsing is something that we're utilizing a lot. So by doing that, I think if to take your example of a customs delay or holding more stock to mitigate that delay, that's a very, very simple, very, very accurate example of where we can use technology to, one, reduce the transaction cost, but two, extract that information, make sure it's there, remove a manual task free up an operator to do something more value adding. So that's a pretty simple one for the customs example. But I'd also let Alex add more to it, obviously with his area of expertise. But I think the other thing, and in the interest of time, we do want to give you a quick overview of the control tower demo as well. So I mentioned previously being able to, the feature I just talked about there, is that available if you're not moving a specific shipment with Flexport? And I think the answer is now yes, which is we're pretty excited that we can offer that service now. So do you want to, Alex? I don't know if you want to add anything more on the customs piece and the document parsing, but and then we can also go and have a look at the demo.
Yeah, no, let's go through the demo. So what we're going to see here is some of our new control tower features. So even if you don't move your freight with Flexport, this will give you a much better control and insight into your order management process, into your container utilization, and into the performance of your suppliers and your carriers. The keen observer will see that anything you're seeing here is not AI, and we promised you we wouldn't be selling you smoke and mirrors. This is just like really good analytics and really seeing what's going on and getting a much better grip. But it's powered by AI because we are actually under the surface digitizing anything. So we can immediately parse your packing list, for example, and on a line item level, figure out if you're correctly optimizing your containers. And from the data that we currently have, we can see that we can reduce the amount of containers you need by 10 to 20%. And that's just real money back in your pockets. The other thing we can do is we can automatically parse your carrier contracts. So much faster can we see what the impact on you is going to be. We can reroute, we can show this performance to you. We have supplier performance in the same way to you. So the analytics piece of this is, unless you use Insights Builder, not AI driven. It is extremely useful, but it's finally unlocked and actually can go the extra mile because of our digitization platform that sits underneath it.
Yeah, so you can go super detailed in here, right?
Yeah.
I think that's building those reports is not necessarily the sweet spot here, but to your point, the engine behind it is what really makes the difference there, right?
Yeah, it's how we get the data to be able to
Exactly.
do this.
I see a lot of reports actually on the screen. It might be a little bit overwhelming as well, and that's exactly where your insights builder comes in. And you say like, I don't want to look at all these numbers. I have one simple question, and that is the one that I want to get answered.
How can I reduce costs? And it's not just on this side. I mean, we can go to the next slide, I think. For example, in trade advisory, we're doing similar things, right? Where we, so we've seen here container utilization. The other thing we can do is we can help you figure out if other modes are better. We can do shipments consolidation, which is more on the customs side, like the MPF processing. We look at all your shipments. We figure out if there's a way to combine things to save you cost. And the AI is smart enough to figure out like, oh, this is fresh foods, and the other is like things without a strict date on it. So those you want to maybe separate out, or it can take all these more ambiguous kind of cases into account, for which you need like the semantic analysis, which I mentioned earlier, like pants is a chino is a whatever. So the AI is really good at figuring these pieces out. The other thing I'm really excited about, which we're also working on internally, is a never sleeping compliance partner that we can give to our customers. We're using this internally already, where the AI is constantly looking if maybe your SOP was not executed correctly, or if you're misclassifying goods, or maybe if there's dangerous goods that weren't flagged as dangerous goods. And these, of course, all can lead to all kinds of fines and demurrage and things you don't want. So the sooner you can find them and prevent them, it really saves you a lot of money. So just yesterday, I was looking at a report where we saw a customer filing a linen shirt as knitted goods, and the AI figured out like, wait, linen is not a knitted good because you can't knit linen, it's woven. So it flagged that to us, and we were able to call the customer, help out, and prevent them potentially from any fines from the government.
AI never sleeps. I think that's a very
It
powerful
never
one
sleeps.
to mention there. Hey, so we look at the process disruptions here, and on the one hand, like if you have those disruptions, they can be very costly. So you try to prevent that. I think you give good examples of that. And to your point, Doug, the people that you have can then focus on the value generating activities for your customers, right? So that does not only mean that you can reduce your cost, but at the same time, you can also increase your revenue or boost your revenue because you can give more and better services to the end user. Very clear. Let's go to the next one, which is a little bit more about streamlining operations. What we hear a lot, also when we are talking to our customers, is like, I just don't have the time to do all of this. I have too many activities going on, and if you have such a large amount of activities going on, then the room for error is definitely there, and again, you kind of lose the oversight there. So trying to streamline the operations is definitely, and Doug, I think you alluded to that already, has been the core of what we as Flexport are trying to achieve there, right? Is that correct?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think any company is trying to decouple, headcount growth from volume or revenue growth. We're just like our customers are trying to do the same. And I think, if you look at the most frequently asked question, or hopefully less frequently asked question, where's my stuff? What's in my, you call it your pallet or your container, whatever it may be. And I think we've seen huge advances in that, right, in the last 10 years. And I think now what we're trying to do here, or utilizing technology to, one, if we're eradicating the whole where's my stuff because you know where it is, then, or I want to be told when my stuff is not where I think it is, or can you make a proposal for where it should be? When will it be here? Is there decisions? Really just adding more and more automation and predictive machine learning and non-human intervention to answer those questions before you even ask them. And that's ultimately what we're trying to do. And if we do that at Flexport, one, we lower our transaction cost. But two, we just increase the quality for our customers. I think my favorite example would be, and it's a pretty ugly one, but I still like it because I also spent a lot of time in Asia in my previous life, where typically still today many people are receiving these master bills of lading from carriers by email and PDFs, and you name your timeline or horizon, but X years ago, that was a very manual, ugly task. Your operators going into emails, maybe using a filter, maybe not, maybe inbox zero, depending what your methodology was, but it was pretty slow. You maybe printed it off and you looked for it. And now, by one, being able to recognize, where does master bill come from, which vendor, has it got the information I'm looking for, extract that information, upload it into our system, check that task done. That's, you could talk about that simple task for hours. One, it saves minutes per shipment, it saves money, it increases quality. You're ultimately solving the initial thing of where's my stuff, because that's the start of the whole chain. So that's probably my favorite example, but I think we have many, and many of these are I can talk about the Flexport examples, but this is, I think everyone here is interested to know how can you use AI to streamline your operations.
Yeah.
Alex, I think you have a
Yeah.
few as well on this slide.
Yeah, I'll promise to be short. No, this is my favorite slide. I can talk for hours about all the cool stuff we're working on internally. So a consistent theme throughout this presentation, of course, has been document parsing. It just unlocks everything that comes after in terms of automation and AI. Again, AI is nothing more than a supercharger of the data that you have. If you don't have the data, AI is not going to do anything for you. It's not a moat by itself. So that's really an area where it's a good idea to invest in. There's some great vendors out there you might consider as well. Low-code tools are amazing. So these are tools where you don't require programmers to actually do things. We use these internally as well. This can be as easy as, like, for example, if you're using Jira, Jira can automatically scan and classify incoming email. They have built-in UI AI these days. A lot of Service Center software has this built in, so it's really worth it to explore these tools. Same for your legal department. Like there's so many tools out there where our legal team now is programming flows to automatically review contracts, automatically review MD&As. It's just doing the same repetitive thing over and over and over again. So probably there's a vendor already out there that can help you automate these things. So that's really something to invest in. Now, Alfred is kind of our friend internally. It's our agent we've trained on all of our internal knowledge. So we don't have to go to a Wikipedia page or an internal knowledge page anymore. Most of us just ask Alfred. That's what we call him on Slack. Whatever we need to know. So anything I need to know about HR policies or about SOPs or anything else, we just ask Alfred, and it's very happy to comply and help us out. And we're just going to add everything to Alfred internally, so people don't have to navigate as much anymore. I've already showed Insights Builder. We use it heavily internally. Obviously, internally, it works across customers. So we can help anybody and spot trends and try to be better for all of our customers every day. Deep research is amazing. You may have heard of it. You may already be using it. It's built into Grok. It's built into GPT. It's built into Gemini if you use any of these products. If you don't, you should really give that a shot. It can actually go out on the internet and research things for you. It's like you have your private army of interns. We've built a Flexport internal version that is a bit more safe/restricted that can research freight topics for us. So if we want to figure out what's going on with certain port strikes or the history behind them, or if we want to talk to a customer, they're new to us and we want to learn more about them, we have these agents actually do research for us just to accelerate what we do every day. So strongly recommend people to give that a shot. My favorite one currently is Grok. It's very powerful. But again, there's many you can use. Yeah, and then finally, obviously internally, we're building out all these consistent monitors because a lot of human time is wasted on people checking things and manually doing things. Like I'm sure you have a compliance team that's manually browsing through things, and they can only look at so much in that time, and there's also the cost benefit. Well, AI is actually, compared to that, really cheap. Can look at everything, doesn't need to sleep. And yeah, we're just deploying that everywhere now to make sure problems come to us and we don't have to go out looking for them.
Great. I love those examples, Alex, and I'm like the speed of with how like these examples are actually thrown at us, or like exploring the different opportunities that we have out there is it's going really fast, and it's that's super interesting to see. All right, hey, so is there anything you wish to share about what we'll see in the future? Do you think that what do you think? I assume we will see AI further reducing errors, predicting costs. You mentioned a few of that already. We're going from predictive to prescriptive, right? I think that's an important one that we will see.
Yeah.
Does that mean that in the end, like the data is going to tell us what our people or what also our customers actually need to do?
No, I think for almost everything for the next few years, we're just talking co-pilots. I think we can make everybody, like our CEO says, we're building Iron Man suits for everybody. And I think that's a great way to think about it. I hope that we can eliminate all of the boring and uninteresting toil of our jobs and just go to the decision making that drives the most impact. And I think we're going to see a lot more of that. And that's for sure what we're aiming to do at Flexport. The other thing, which is slightly technical but very exciting, is that because of the rapid growth of AI, what's also happening is standardization around how AI can talk to data. And what I'm seeing right now, which is going to come into products in maybe 6 or 12 months, is that we're standardizing how these things interface. And that will make it possible to adopt much faster what agents, so what AI tools, what data they can talk to. And what you'll see is that more and more things will get connected and get and basically rise out of isolation. And I'm really excited for that. So, for example, you can imagine your AI chatbot talking to the AI compatible interface of Flexport, meaning your whatever company you work at. You can ask it freight questions to Flexport, and it will talk to our internal system and answer you those questions in your environment and give you insights builder in your context with
Right.
your data that we don't see, but nicely isolated from each other. So we're going to see a lot more of that linking together, which is very exciting.
It is, and I'm looking forward to that Iron Man suit as well. All right, hey, so let's quickly go to a couple of recommendations here of how we, like we discussed how we as Flexport are currently using tech and AI, what our vision is on this one. We give you some very concrete examples, also how it will actually make your business as well a little bit more efficient or better, whether it's based on the larger bottlenecks or the process disruptions or actually streamlining your flows. If we would give you 4, let's say, concrete recommendations of how to do this, definitely the first one would be start small, right, and scale smart. Begin with focus use cases. Don't make it too big or elaborate. It's a lot, right? Also, all the things that we share today and the possibilities is really a lot. But try to look at specific cases where the gap is the biggest right now, and then show the value quickly and then expand. Is, I think, would for me be the number one recommendation there. Doug discussed already in the beginning how important it is to have clean data from the get-go, right, and have that in a structured way. So prioritize data quality is definitely a very important one there as well. If you want to understand a little bit more about how we do that, just let us know. Then the next one, and that's also a little bit what we're trying to do here, is make AI everyone's business, right? It's not just the supply chain; it's in all of the different functions out there, etc. And linked to that first one, take a modular and flexible approach. The developments are going really fast, and if you really want to make sure that you make it scalable, right, then this modular approach would really work. Hey, conscious of time, I think we have time for a couple of questions here right now. I think maybe one. I think you answered it already, Doug. But the question would be why can other companies not build this in the same way that Flexport has done now? So you kind of
I mean,
discussed it, right?
I'm just thinking now on this call. I think the best example, or the way to describe it, is we've talked a little bit about this insights builder, but it's a good example to be totally transparent. I think we've been quite proud of the way we've structured data and made reporting and analytics available for many years, right? I think that where people used to be happy with a daily spreadsheet or an automated spreadsheet to their inbox, to then whether you then had an expectation of something that was more real time, call it a Looker dashboard, call it a BI type interface, and just till recently that was still exciting. I think there's many, and now I'll be even more transparent. Some people look at Insights Builder and say, "Oh, it's just ChatGPT." So my answer there is like, "Wow, are we already over ChatGPT? Are we already over just using natural language to ask someone to build a report?" So I think the foundation for us is that we have that structure. We can apply this technology to it, and if you don't have that data set, I mean, those are the perfect example that we have. Historically, we've managed to ingest that data and make it available in nice custom-made analytics, and we're just taking the next natural step, which now is just moving super fast, faster than we ever expected, to put that into natural language question and answer. So I hope that answers. I think I touched on it earlier.
No, I like that. That's good. Hey, I was just talking about having good quality data. That's super important. There is actually a question on this one already. Like, since AI is dependent on data that much, what are you doing to make sure that that good data is there? What is the hard part of that? What is the hard part of it is that's actually the hard part of logistics, right? So Alex, can you quickly elaborate on that one?
The hard part about getting the data,
It's like making sure that the data is good, that the data is really of a good quality. How do you make sure how do you safeguard this?
it is a very complicated problem. So obviously you really need to understand the domain, and you need to have really robust AI models that don't make up data as it's coming in. And you need to consistently review and check whatever is coming in. So over the years, we've built a very strong model that continuously checks for outliers, reports outliers. We review them. We see if we need to sharpen things up. But it's really hard in this industry because there are more exceptions than happy paths, as we say. So it comes down to hiring the best talent, writing strong algorithms, having a strong review process, having a strong compliance process around it, and just grinding and iterating. There are no silver bullets for this problem.
Yeah, yeah. And linked to this, to the data quality, and maybe also the compliant or um, the customer data, is that stored locally, not in the cloud, and is it protected from becoming public?
Yeah, so our data runs in our secure data centers. Those are in the cloud. That's why you can open it in your browser and why you can control your supply chain from anywhere in the world at any moment in time. Obviously, the data is completely isolated. Only your company can benefit from it. We also don't use your data to benefit another company directly. We wouldn't want to help your competition with your data. So everything is nicely isolated and secure and encrypted. And the agents all operate within your context as if they would be employed at your company and working for you.
Got it. Okay. Hey, and the last one that I want to ask on this one, we've shown already quite some good examples and actual ways of how we are dealing with this. You showed the Insight Builder as well. Obviously, the number one question is, when will this be all available, right?
Yeah, so you can reach out to your account manager to get access. Like I said, we have shipment data and customs data right now for certain regions. I think customs today is only United States, but we're adding geographies and we're adding more and more data gradually throughout this year. So yeah, reach out to your account manager, and we're happy to enroll you.
Yeah, and I think that everything about the control tower, also, Doug, where you talked about, that is already available, right? We have that. That is something we can do already, right?
Yeah, this is something that's available. So, I mean, on Control Tower, that's something that's ready. Well, that's a product that globally we're talking to customers about now, and there's nothing there. I think Alex quite rightly talked about the Insights Builder, which we're rolling out now. I just remember one thing we haven't actually touched upon is instant price and book, which is again something that's been asked for in the industry for a long time. We're actually rolling that out now or testing that in North America in the mid-market segment. So yeah, that's many of these features I think are available. I mean, some of the things we talked about there are internal tools. This is something obviously you get in the standard platform experience, and yeah, Control Tower is something I would love to talk to anyone about if there are any questions on that.
Great. I'm pretty certain that few will take you up on that one. And then obviously we did our winter release, as you mentioned that in the beginning, and we will do another one again, a release in. We are planning to do 2 of those releases every year, so we keep it coming. Okay, we're at time already. I really want to thank everyone, also Doug and Alex, to join me on this webinar and sharing all the insights. I thought it was was very, very insightful, and all of the audience to join and to ask these questions. We are, by the way, also publishing a guide, Tech and AI as the Cornerstone of Modern Supply Chains. You can pre-register for that guide as well, and it shows you even more insights there and ways of how to look at this in the future. I think the link is in the chat. And with that, I want to thank everyone and wish you a very great rest of your day. Thank you. Bye-bye.